About to get started.
What's going
I'm
on?
ready. Look, I'm ready to get off of this right here, boy.
Oh man.
It's all good. What's going on, everybody? First of
Get
all,
off
what's
of this.
going on? Say what's going on, Marquise? What's going on,
Man.
Steve? We got Roy in here listening in. What's going on, Sammy? Sammy been putting some properties under contract too. We ain't even at 7 o'clock and we got a lot of people tuning in already. I love it. Let's go. We got my boy Willie Coleman popping in tonight. He's 22 years old. He's gonna be showing y'all how he got in the game and how he's staying in the game. He got over 9 rental properties. 7 of them is Airbnbs. 2 of them is group homes.
Group
Yeah,
homes.
we're gonna put this whole thing together today. Danielle, I see you just popped in. What's going on?
All is well. All is well.
Good. Yes, Miss Danielle going crazy out here, y'all. She going crazy. Don't let her fool you. She going crazy. So yeah, we're gonna get ready to pop in here in a minute. We're gonna let everybody come on inside. Sure. We're gonna wait for everybody to jump on, then we'll get started.
Cool. Man, get them group homes, huh?
Yeah, so
that's interesting.
So yeah, Marquise, when it comes to properties, man, sometimes you just gotta, you gotta get the address and then you skip trace the person and run them down. Adrian Hall, what's going on, my boy? How you living over there? Good to see you in here.
What's up, brother?
Not much, man. Good to hear your voice. Good to hear your voice. How everything going out there?
Everything going, man. I'm, in a meeting, but I got you in my ear, so I'm tuned in.
Let's go. I send you the replay so you can take some notes. And we just had the world famous Willie Coleman just pop in here. What's going on, Willie? Where you at?
What's going on, boss man?
Yeah. What's up? Long day today?
Man, it's been a day. I just got in and I was like, oh, let me get my Zoom up.
Get the Zoom out now. That's what I'm talking about, my boy. Yeah, your audio hazy. Okay, good. Yeah, Sammy, it's all good. You in here now. Brittany, I see you just popped in here. How you doing, girl? Hope you feeling good today. How you living over there, Brittany?
I'm doing good. I'm driving though. I'm doing good.
That's good. I'll make sure I send you the replay so whenever you get back to the house, you can take some notes because my boy Willie about to throw some game on y'all tonight.
Okay.
About to throw some real game on y'all tonight. All right, we at about 7:02. Y'all know my motto. If you on time, you're late. If you're late, might as well not show. All right, let's get this Zoom started, man. I just wanted to first of all greet everybody, say what's going on, and I just want to let y'all know that I appreciate every single one of y'all being on time, being ready to roll. Today's meeting, we're gonna have my boy Willie Coleman speaking a little bit about his journey, giving some tips and tricks on how to get like him. It wasn't an overnight thing, I know that for sure, but he'll definitely gonna break down a little bit more about what he got going on. I just want to acknowledge everybody who's been in credit repair and getting their credit, going, because that's the first step to success, to be able to get out here and be able to get yourself some money to get out here and get into one of these opportunity vehicles. We got somebody else just popped in here. CLE. I'm not sure who you are. CLE, what's going on?
The Secret Service cars are coming from our left. The road curved around the
Yo, B, that's one of my homeboys, man. He's in Myrtle Beach doing some property stuff down there. So he went to upstate with us. You recognize him too if you see his face.
Hey, CLE, show yourself now. We want to see who we dealing with here, Roy. But yeah, that's good, man. I'm glad everybody's, sending it around, man, because Willie, this is a big thing right here that we got going on. like I said, I just want to acknowledge every single person who done got into the credit repair, started that journey. Your next step is making sure you got your LLC. Your third step is making sure we got your funnels, your lead generation system running. Make sure you got your database to be able to text blast, email blast, whether you're doing wholesaling, selling t-shirts, whatever the business may be. And then the fourth step to everything is getting you funded and getting you into an opportunity vehicle, okay? That way you guys can stop trading that time for money. We can start trading some money for some time, you know what I'm saying? All right. With that being said, man, I ain't gonna leave too much to it, man. I'm gonna let my boy Willie Coleman get into it. Let him introduce himself. Let him know everything he got going on. As people come in, Willie, I might stop you just to say what's up to them and stuff like that. Like my boy Jason just jumped in. Jason is new to the mastermind. Everybody say what's going on. What's up, Jason? It's good to see you in here. And yeah, man, we're gonna let Willie take the floor, man. And then if you got any questions, write them down and save them for the last part of the Zoom where we'll do the Q&A. And then after the Q&A, we'll get Willie's buy box, and then we'll be able to see what other deals you guys might got. You know, I know a lot of you guys been getting some contracts this month. So maybe Willie might be open to listening to getting one of those things now. All right. With that being said, my boy Willie, I'm in Jamaica right now, relaxing, man. Take the floor.
I see that. I said, oh, yeah. That's a nice background right there. Man, no, Brad, man, thanks for having me, dude. I'm pumped to be on tonight. I know we hadn't known each other very long, but for the short time we know each other, I love your energy, and anything I can do to add value to the community, I'm here for it. So I guess I can give a little backdrop on myself, and then by all means kind of go deeper. So long story short, guys, on me, I am currently I am a real estate investor out of Greenville, South Carolina, where we buy properties to, you know, obviously to either flip them, buy them to keep them. And that's kind of just how I look at it. We're either going to buy it and sell it, or buy it and keep it. And so with that being said, I don't really put myself in a box, right? I'm not a flipper. I'm not a landlord. I'm not, you know, anything of the, you know, exact box. But to get to kind of how we got here, I got into real estate back when I literally couldn't even sign contracts. I did my first deal basically like at 14 and a half years old. I literally had to start an LLC with my brother, dude, and literally he had to sign everything. And so I started wholesaling properties at 14 and a half, ended up wholesaling a ton of properties by the time I turned 18. Got hit with a bunch of taxes. I was like, okay, I need.
Hey, hold on, Willie. 14 years old, bro.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's crazy. Hats off. Let's go. Keep it going.
Sir. So I turned 18. I started buying properties. I needed some depreciation for taxes. Started buying, and I just did, you know, whatever made sense for the deal.
For the people who don't know, can you explain depreciation for taxes?
Sure. Yeah. So basically, I'm not a CPA, and to be honest, I don't exactly know how it all works. By all means, check with your own attorney, CPA, whatever. But basically, when you own properties, you can do a lot of stuff to offset other income. So when you own something, you can do what's called depreciation. You look at a property, you say, hey, over the next 30 years, you know, you can basically get write-offs for your taxes. So without getting too deep into it, it's a way to write off your taxes by owning property. Yeah. So
there you go. Continue.
Yeah, so started buying and you know, started just flipping, right? Everything I did at a very high level. It didn't matter if it was $100,000 house, $400,000 house, still did it the same way. I'm going to buy it, I'm going to take it down to the studs and redo everything. The way I got into the business is I started by just, again, being around it. So you know, I would do work for people. I did landscaping, I did demolition, you name it. I've done it, right? By the time I was 18 years old, I knew the process of how to build a house. And so I became obsessed with the idea of, let me just learn. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I just started learning. And you know, from 18 to now, I'm 22. I've done probably a good 80 to 120 deals between wholesaling and flipping and you name it, whatever makes sense for the deal. Now it's just about, you know, people always say, well, what's your buy box? Well, it's really whatever makes sense for the deal. There's some other stuff in that. But now it's just about, you know, doing high margin stuff and have fun while we're doing it, but keeping it at a high standard. So that's what I'm on right now.
Man, that's a lot to take in right there, my boy. 80 deals.
Yes, sir.
Come on, man.
Yes, sir.
Come on, man. That's big right there. That's big. I think what the community really want to know is let's talk a little bit about the Airbnbs, and then let's talk a little bit about the group homes, and let's talk about the differences, and let's talk about acquiring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for Airbnb, so yeah, one of the strategies I picked up probably about 2 years ago now. I think it's important for people to, when, you know, whatever you're doing in real estate, be a little open-minded. Don't always think, hey, I'm a wholesaler and I'm going to wholesale this deal, or hey, I'm a flipper, so I'm looking at it as a flip. The way I buy is I buy with multiple exits, right? And the reason for that is because you never know. You know, market conditions can change, your situation can change, whatever might happen. So whenever I buy a deal, I just always have multiples. And so about 2 years ago, I used, you know, everything I was holding, I would make it a traditional rental. Okay, it's done, boom, pop it on Zillow, and we'd self-manage. You know, of course, kind of the height, right after 2020, I think was the height of COVID, or in 2020, really, as we come out of COVID, it's like everybody was doing it, right? So I kind of jumped on the bandwagon and started, you know, transitioning these properties that I was doing to Airbnbs. And so, you know, I could have ended up going the route, and just to clarify, I'm in the single family space. So most of the deals I'm doing is just single family. And so, you know, we would do these houses, we put a ton of money into them, we'd refinance them, furnish them out, pop them on Airbnb, and we'd self-manage. So, you know, one of the things about Airbnb, especially now, everybody's doing it. I mean, or not everybody, but, you know, there's an Airbnb almost every other house. It's like, okay, that's an Airbnb. And so the way I started is like, even back then, it wasn't as crazy, but it was still kind of on the come up. And so I always think about what's a competitive advantage, you know, for anybody, whether that's, you know, we give guests a special gift, whether that's, you know, every property has a certain thing. So for us, we started with, hey, look, we're going to give away stuff. The second guests walk in, they're going to get something. So we started every property, we would buy a bottle of wine, we'd buy a bunch of snacks. We just go to Costco or Sam's, whatever, get a bunch of snacks for the guests and get water and sodas. And so basically we did that, and we did that on the get-go, and immediately it didn't matter. You know, most of these properties are in transitioning neighborhoods. So that's kind of puts you back in itself, right? Some people, they're not as used to, you know, transition neighborhoods, whatever. So immediately when guests come in, they see all this stuff. We have a little note to say, hey, this is for you. And it just sets the tone, right? And so I think that's our competitive advantage for sure, is like adding the value of probably like a $50 value. Again, wine, snacks, water, sodas, whatever. And so that's kind of what we start off doing. And now we do that every guest. They get those complimentary items. And we self-manage, like I said. So I'm really big on, of course, I built the wholesale company first. And I was like, you know, I don't want overhead here. So I started hiring virtual assistants. And I did the same model with Airbnb. So my first Airbnb, I was like, you know, I don't want to end up, because what you're doing is you're basically starting a mini hotel. And when I started, I literally started with 6 at one time. And so I was like, you know, I don't want to be, you know, creating a whole new job for myself, which I ended up doing that. And so I was like, I need to figure this out. And I've had the skills of, I know how to talk to people. I know how to, you know, what it means to be of service, not just like, you know, not just, there's a difference between somebody that's just answering a question and somebody that's really listening to you and answering a question. And so in the beginning, of course, I did it for myself. I would respond to every message, you know, kind of really create a system behind this of, you know, create templates and this, that, the other. But then I was like, okay, this is getting to be a lot, right? I'm talking, we're handling like, you know, anywhere from 10 to 15 bookings a week. And so with that, when you get a booking, you know, the first thing you have to do is one, okay, make sure that, you know, you have everything set up. So when somebody books, you need to schedule a cleaning. You need to check in with the guests, like, hey, what's the reason of your travel? Are you traveling with any pets? Because we're pet friendly. You know, there's a lot of things in the back end of Airbnb. You really need to kind of make sure you're set up, make sure that, you know, the person's not going to have a party or whatever. And so I ended up, you know, going to a site called onlinejobs.ph. And basically I ended up finding these people over in the Philippines that these are people that have worked at like some of the top hotels in the world, like Nobu Hotel and the Ritz-Carltons and wherever. And so they were working physically at those locations. They decided to become virtual assistants. And so I brought them on and I said, hey, look, I want you to end up, I took the concept of, I just read a book recently called Who, Not How. And it's just the concept of, at every level, we're all, when we're starting out, obviously it's not like, oh, we can go hire somebody. Or when we're starting out, it's like, oh, how do I do this, right? It can be a lot, right? There's so many moving parts. And sometimes what you have to do is, just like a group like this, you have to understand who can help me achieve that. And so, I brought on these people that I didn't know all the logistics of how do you set up templates on Airbnb and how do you do this, that, the other. And I end up just bringing people on that can help me, right? And so anyway, long story short, brought on people that were able to do everything and create systems and processes to, again, schedule cleanings, make sure calendars are synced, because we're not just booked or listed on Airbnb, we're also listed on VRBO, booking.com, etc. And so I'm really big now on the idea of anything we try to do something new, it's like, who can help us do this? Who do we need to get on the room with? Who do we need to, whether it's pay them in our time or money, to get them on board to help us? And so that's what I end up doing. And now, again, we've got about 10 Airbnbs. And again, Airbnb definitely has gone down a little bit just due to the economy and things like that. But we're still doing pretty well because, again, I think guests appreciate the little things, right? That's what separates you apart. I would say no matter what you do, whatever strategy, you got to find a competitive advantage, especially in a uncertain market. Because when things are uncertain and when people have more options, they're going to end up going with the best. So become the best and you'll be okay. That's my belief.
Man, that's awesome, brother. That's awesome. Let's transition a little bit into the group homes. How did you get started with the group homes?
So I'm not in the group home space. No, I'm not in the group home space. I don't know.
Okay, so all your rentals right now are all Airbnb.
Yeah. So yeah, most of them are Airbnb or traditional rentals, just every 12 months.
Okay.
Yeah. Definitely want to get into that though. Kind of get into multifamily where we have, again, multiple doors and stuff like that. Yeah, that's kind of the next step. Yes, sir.
Nah, that's awesome, brother. That's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about why you chose those to be Airbnbs? Because I know you said you had different multiple exit strategies. What in your brain clicks when you say, okay, that's going to be an Airbnb?
So the way I look at it is, again, Airbnb is it's like you're running mini hotels around the city, right? You've got maintenance to deal with, you've got housekeeping to deal with, you've got all the logistics to make this thing run, right? Stocking, right? All that stuff. And so for me, I always think about what can maximize a deal. Like I said in the beginning, not just buying for one strategy. So I would never buy something and say, hey, I'm going to buy this for Airbnb. I would never do that. And I don't advise people do that. I had bought some properties in the Greenville County area because technically in a lot of cities, Airbnb is not allowed in city limits. So definitely do your due diligence on kind of where you're at. But I ended up buying a bunch, probably like 3 or 4 properties at one time, and there were mill houses in this Judson Mill. If anybody's in the Greenville area, you kind of know that little area. And these are 1,000 square foot houses, 2 bedroom, 2 baths. We ended up taking these things down to the studs, putting over $100,000 in them, between fixing them up, furnishing them out, and all that good stuff. And as we were wrapping up the rehabs, again, the Airbnb was kind of, again, really high up, and everybody was doing it. I'm like, hey, let me just hop on this bandwagon, basically. And the reason I did that was because these properties, they qualify for traditional rentals. So I renovated them and I refinanced them, and they qualify as traditional rentals. And so I just looked at, hey, what's going to maximize the profit monthly on this? And it so happened to be, it was Airbnb. And so we put it up there. And since we put it up there, these properties, we've been able to get, of course, the nightly stuff, weekend stuff, whatever. But we've also been able to secure midterm rentals, which are, traveling nurses or traveling professionals, whatever. They also will book. So they'll book a month, 2 months, 3 months at a time. And it's just, again, a person that's on booking that way, they're willing. So say, these properties, we could rent them out maybe $1,500 a month. On Airbnb, we're probably netting around $35,000-$40,000 a month. And then after all of our expenses, we're probably doubling our income by doing Airbnb. And so the deciding factor to answer your question, Brad, is like, one, can we legally do it? Because again, I'm definitely going to be following the rules. So there's a lot of compadres around here that be doing it in the city and whatever, but I'm like, I'm not going to do that. So one, it's like, can we legally do it? Two, does it make sense? Like, is it something that, again, has done to a standard? Like, is it a house that is not just, it's elevated. It's got to be, have granite. It's got to have, for me, right? It's got to just be elevated, not just rinkety diggity house. So, I made a decision back in 2021. It's like everything we do is going to be the same level. So whether it's a flip, whether it's a, it doesn't matter what it is, we're going to do it to the same level. And so that's kind of how I decided. It's like, okay, is this going to be the thing that maxes our income? That's what we'll do. And if it's all goes down tomorrow, which again, it is, there's some areas that's going down a little bit. If it all, went to hell in a handbasket tomorrow, that's okay. We'll just transition them. We'll pop them on Zillow as traditional rentals. And that's kind of how I think about it.
So to be clear, when you go buy property, you definitely looking like location first, and then you're not even tripping on if you're gonna make money off of it, because you're gonna refinance the property to be able to pull that money back that you did, to be able to bring that value up.
Exactly. I'm more than happy.
Can you explain to them what kind of, just a small portion of what the refinance look like? Because some of the students are new and they're not sure. They probably like, what the hell is a refi? What the,
Right. No, I got you. So two things. I'm more than happy to share my screen too if you want. I can show.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make you a host. Yeah.
But yeah, man. So again, I'm a real estate investor. I don't classify myself as any one box. I think it's important to focus on something, right? I think it's important to focus on it, learn it, do some deals, master it in a way, right? We never truly master anything, but get it down pretty good. But my point is, I don't buy, like I said, I don't buy something for one strategy. And so most of these properties I bought them as I didn't know what I was going to do, but I know we're going to put some money into it and make it look great. And so, we buy these properties. For example, this is a property. Can y'all see my screen?
Yep. See you good.
All right. So this is a property we bought in the Judson Mill area. We bought this thing for $100,000. We put, I want to say with furniture, we put about 120 into it. And again, this is a 2-bedroom house, mill house vibes. It's not, it's nothing crazy. It's 1,000 square foot, and just redid everything. This house is down to the studs. Like I said, everything we do at a very high level for what it is. And so put 115 into it. So all in with our interest, we were all in about 225, 228, something like that. And so at the end of the renovation, we furnished it out, as you guys see with the furniture. And I had the way I do it, I don't use my own cash. I go to private money lenders, and they basically say, I pitch the deal. I'm like, hey, this is what we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. They fund the deal, right? So they fund the deal almost as if they are, in a Wells Fargo position, right? So they get a note and mortgage. They give me the cash at closing when we buy it in the beginning for the purchase and the renovation. We put the money into the properties. And at the end, like I said, refinancing, it's like that lender gives me a short-term loan, right? So at the end, for me to keep the house, because my goal is not to put it on the market and sell it, we want to keep it. And so what we did was, this is the Mill Excellence right here. We're done. We're all in, let's just say 230. We ended up going to the bank and said, hey, look, we want to get a long-term mortgage. We told them that, hey, we're going to keep this property as a rental, which it is. And, they did an appraisal. The appraisal came back at, I want to say 320. So basically we got almost $100,000 in equity off the bat. And so what I did is, at this point, I've done the renovations. I've, all in, the house is done. I'm not paid, right? So the way to get paid, I could just list on the market and sell it. But, the problem there is like, you're going to have some capital gains. So what I did is like, my goal right now is to keep everything, don't sell anything. And so anyway, went to the bank, asked for a mortgage. We ended up asking for a mortgage of, again, we're all in around, let's just say 230. We asked for a mortgage of 270, right? So we asked for a mortgage for 270. The appraisal came in at 330. So that way I could get a little fee, right? tax-free because you don't pay taxes on the loan. They lent $270, paid off my private money lender at $230, and I have a spread there. So I think after closing costs, I walked away with a check with like 37 grand. That gave me enough. This house took about 6 months to renovate. And now it's on Airbnb. The mortgage payment, I think, is like $1,800 a month, which is pretty high, but that is, PITI. So that's principal, taxes, insurance. And we rent this thing out, and we probably are grossing around $4,000 a month after our payments and cleaning fees and all that stuff. We're netting around $900 in cash flow, and and of course it's appreciating. So the goal on this property, will hold it for probably 5 to 10 years, and we might sell it. We might, do a wrap. Who knows? But the beautiful thing is, I don't have to pay taxes on it because I didn't sell it, and I'm still making passive income every month. And the way we run it, like I said, we've got ladies that basically deal with anything and everything logistically. Again, scheduled cleanings and all that good stuff. And people just love them. Like I said, we give away snacks, we give away wine and all that good stuff. Another property we bought over there, Cherrydale area, bought this thing from wholesaler Shane Ninen. And, again, just do it at a high level. I don't buy anything and not take it down to the studs. We want to, again, just perform at a high level, because when guests come in there, and if we chose to sell it, people will see the level of detail. And even in a downturn, even in, because again, I've only been in real estate when it's good, right? So all I know is good real estate. But at the same time, it's like, my belief is, even when things go down, the people that will stick around are the people that are the most attractive, are the best. And so that's how I think about it. That's how I've always thought about it. And man.
Man, you spitting straight gems, man.
Sir.
Straight, and I love it because I like what you said in the video. You just being an artist, and you just painting right now.
Exactly.
The world is your canvas right now, and you just painting. You ain't tripping on what the art gotta look like. You just I'm in my room doing my thing right now, and you hold it for generational wealth. So if you decided just to keep them all, and like you said, if the market changed from Airbnb vibes to just straight, short-term rentals, you just, hey, I'm just gonna just rent all of these things out and get a little cash flow on each and every one of them. You put enough money in it so it lasts you the next 30 years. So you did your thing.
Exactly, because it's like dude, like I'm still like most of us, right? We start from nothing, right? Like my parents are giving me money, all this stuff. Like I've learned all this from scratch, and it's like I don't have a retirement account, right? So it's like the way I think about it is these properties, most likely I'll end up holding them for like 15, 20 years, because like I see this as my retirement account. I got to build something, right? So although we want to get money today, we have to get money today to live. We also need to think about the future, and obviously being entrepreneurs, how do you do that? Well, there's not many ways to like create, whether it's generational wealth, retirement, whatever. There's not many ways to do it. And I look at rentals as pretty easy way to do it in a way. So yeah,
man, that's amazing, brother. Now let's jump into the warehouse, man. So let's be clear. You started with the Airbnbs and the short-term rentals. And then what made you really want to jump into the warehouse, building this 5,300 square foot mansion and damn near downtown Greenville? What made you do that? Let's hear about that.
So to speak to I know a lot of times we all think about like, dang, like this guy's doing that, this guy's doing this, like how did he get there? It's all about momentum, right? It's all about getting to a point where the reality is just going back to doing the work, right? Like there is so many ways to win. There is like Airbnb, wholesaling, wraps, this, that, subject to, like there's so many things to do. And I do want to clarify, although now I am doing multiple things, it is important to focus. And whatever that is, focus on something. I use a philosophy called JOT, right? Just one thing. Whatever you're doing, just stick to it and do the work. And so my thing is like I say, I don't operate in the sense of, we've got to do one thing, but at the same time, I'm still focused on just single family, right? And so as you guys saw with those Airbnbs, all those properties, I've taken them down to the studs. I've done 1,500 square foot additions. And again, I've started with wholesaling, so I understood how to see deals and how to look at deals. And then I transitioned to buying, right? I worked under some people to understand the construction side. I worked, did, like I said, construction, landscape demo, you name it. And so I've always just, again, knew that at the end of the day, I'm going to be, I'm going to keep doing what is working, but at the same time, don't just stop there like, hey, this is working, I'm not going to transition. So to answer your question, for those that don't know, I'm currently developing a, like Brad said, a 5,300 square foot home, downtown Greenville. I raised basically, I think 1.7 when it's all said and done for the construction and purchase of this property. And what I did was how did I get there was everything I did, right? From starting with as a wholesaler. Obviously, that was the first thing because I needed cash, right? I didn't just go say, oh, let me go buy a house. Like, that's crazy because you got to get there, right? It's levels to it, obviously, right? So I started as a wholesaler, got cash. Okay, boom. The idea of, I never was like 100% where like, hey, things are consistent cash. I don't think real estate's never really consistent as it should be sometimes, but I started getting cash. Then it was like, hey, let me just start getting properties. And then it was like, okay, well, how do we, do more with less? And so again, I was doing these big margin deals, right? One could say you're generating, 6 figures on one deal. That's still pretty good margin, but how do we do more with less? So I was like, okay, back in, I want to say November, December of last year, I was like, we did probably about 35, 40 deals in 1 year. So again, we've got the momentum going, yeah, dude. Yeah. So I was like, okay, that was great, but I want to pull my hair. I was like, this is crazy. And so I was like, what if we just did the same thing, still single family, but just thought bigger on it? And so ended up buying a deal from Riley Pilgrim, wholesale guy around here, bought a deal from him. And, this is in January, started drawing these plans. And I'm just like, we drew one story. I'm like, what if we draw another story? So we drew another story, then we drew another story. And then we were at 3 stories. I'm like, okay, this is intense. And you guys saw, again, the houses we try to do them pretty nice. And so just ended up drawing this big house. I'm like, this one deal could make half the money those 35 deals made last year. So now I'm just like, look, let's just do less but high margin deals. So my thinking is, evolved a little bit. I'm still doing those smaller deals, but my focus definitely, I'm thinking about how do we, at this point, I use the term like starve the ponies and just feed the horses right now. Right. Because again, there's so many things. Oh, what about this? What about that? What about this? It's like you gotta focus, right? So I'm definitely still got a lot to figure out. I've got to bring on more people to help, right, with operations and project management and stuff like that. Because again, I'm doing it all. I'm raising money, I'm finding the next deal, I'm managing subs, and my dad, he used to be a builder, so he's helping with the project management side. But still,
break us down a little bit about the family, how you're in the business and all of that, man. Let them know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So one thing I didn't mention earlier was that the crazy thing about my journey is my parents, right? They've always had the mindset of entrepreneurship. They've always had the mindset of, you don't have to work for somebody, things like that. And back in I want to say it was 2013, 2014, went through a hardship. They ended up losing everything. I'm talking literally everything. We had nothing. And so they're like, okay, we got to do something. I was homeschooled. And so I was always around. Whatever they were going through, I kind of, picked up on things. I was around. And so long story short, like I said, my dad used to be a builder. My mom, she's always been into design and stuff like that. These are military people, super anal people. And, they ended up saying, hey, they've always done renovations and stuff for family, but they're like, hey, let's try to flip a house. But obviously they didn't have any money. They didn't have any resources. So what do? They said, well, who can help us do this? Not how are we going to buy a house? So they found these people. They ended up finding a deal that they didn't know knew nothing about construction, knew nothing about anything. They had money. My parents, they knew how to, renovate stuff. And again, had the construction eye with my dad and stuff. And so they ended up doing a partnership, just a, basic JV flip house out in Chesney, South Carolina. And like I said, I think this was 2014. Yeah, it had to be 2014 because I was 13 years old. And I went with them. After school, it was like, my mom was like, hey, you ain't going to sit at the house. You're going to help. So that's why I started doing demolition for them. I started doing their landscape. So I wired a house, I did plumbing, I put a roof on everything, you name it. And that's how they basically started flipping houses. And so when they started, it's kind of when I started. They started going to local meetings like Upstate Korea and other real estate meetups. And at these meetups, I kept hearing people say wholesaling and you don't have to have money and this or the other. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Because again, my parents, all they knew was like construction stuff. And so I was like, I can do that. In their houses, I would basically I would do demo and stuff. So I would carefully take the toilets out, carefully, remove cabinets. And that like 13, 14 years old, I put this stuff on offer up Craigslist and sell it. And I'm making like $2 or $3 grand a month. So again, my mindset's already like, all right, running and thinking about, you don't always have to do work to make money, right? You can just, anyway. So they kind of helped me with the construction side. And then again, they've always been able to get us around. Me and my siblings just be around whatever they're doing. Like they bring us to their work essentially. And so I learned wholesaling from upstate Korea, and I was like, okay, I can do that. I can connect a buyer and a seller. And so I got my first deal, like signing a contract at 15. I started at LSU with my brother, wholesale the deal. I made like just a stupid amount of money. I'm like, all right, this is what I'm doing. I'm not going to college. Screw all that other stuff. I'm in it. And so then, like I said, when I turned 18, I started buying. Well, obviously, I could have just started buying, did partnerships with other people, but I'm like, nah, screw that. We're going to keep it in the family, right? So I did, I found the deal, raised the money, bought it, closed on it. It's in my LLC. And my parents, at the time, they're still doing their thing. They're still flipping houses. They've got their own relationships. And started just doing partnerships with them, like I said. And so my dad, he does all the project management. My mom, she does the design. And I'm involved with just, again, making sure everything's happening. I still do a lot of the design stuff as well. I like to, like I said, like, Brad, I think of myself more or less an artist at this point, because I'm really into just like doing things a little bit different, right? So now it's cool because we get to keep in the family in terms of different things, like again, project management, design, stuff like that. But again, it's like it's still a family thing in terms of operating on, hey, we can do one or two at a time. But my goal is to really build a business here, something that a business in my eyes is something that runs whether you're here physically doing the work or not. So if I leave for 2 months and money's still coming to my account, that's a business. If I leave for 2 months and things stop, that clearly means my ass has a high paying job and nothing less of that. So I'm in the stage of, I know this sounds crazy, but I don't think I have a business. I really don't. I've got people in place and stuff like that. But now it's to the point of, I got to get to a point where we leave, money's still coming to the account. And so that's where I'm at right now. And, I am looking for a full-time project manager. I am looking for, full-time people to really help, build something. And again, still keeping the family with, 1 or 2 deals at a time. But again, to really build something crazy here, we got to think a little bit bigger. So that's kind of where I'm at there with that, man.
Nah, man, that's awesome, brother. That's awesome, man. And man, I think they've been over there holding off, boy. They ready to fire at you, boy. All right, let's go and open it up for Q&A, man. Once again, thanks for sharing the story too, man, for sure. All right, with that being said, who first, man? Who want to jump on here and get out here and start firing at Willie? Got some questions for him.
Yo, B, what's good, Bubba?
What's going on, Roy?
Man, hey, Willie, good stuff, man. Man, never met you, but I watched your story on Brad's page, and congratulations on all your success. Man, it's pretty amazing to see you doing something at such a young age. But just a couple questions, man. You're so well spoken and seem like you're so well planned out. What's some of your long-term goals? Like, what's your ultimate goal with this? I mean, I know you still got years of doing what you're doing, but are you trying to get into, on a skyscraper level, or are you wanting to get into apartment complexes? Just like, what's some of your bigger goals with what you're already doing?
Yeah, no. First of all, man, appreciate the flowers there, man. I think for me, I don't know, right? To be blunt, I really don't know. I think, I feel like I've been ordained by God to, just do what makes sense, right? I don't, like I said, I used to wholesale like crazy, and, that was great. And now it's like, okay, start buying. And this has been great. Now it's like, okay, do bigger deals. That's been great. So we'll see what God takes me next. But I think the reality is, my eyes, right? We'll see what he says, but my eyes, it's like, okay, keep doing what you've been doing, right? It's working, right? People always say, oh, you've got a little bit of success, right? You've done this, you've done that. Yeah, success. But at the same time, it's like, don't be ignorant to the fact of do what you know you're good at, you know? And I just think, like you said, I'm good at putting the pieces together. And so ultimately, you know, real estate's great. But at the same time, I don't necessarily love every part of it. So what's next right now is just delegating, right? Like I said, really creating a business here to where it is running with me or without me. And so from there, you know, ultimately, like, where do I see myself, let's just say 5, 10, 15 years from now? It is something that, hey, the business is rolling, right? So whether we transition into multifamily, whatever, I'm still going to be in single family. I'm still not going to buy these houses. I've got lenders that, you know, are ready to keep funding deals. I've got, you know, it's kind of crazy when you start manifesting stuff. I'll share something with you guys. I've got, you know, I've got this lender guy. He knows, you know, about the warehouse deal that we're doing. He knows kind of where I'm going. And again, as you start, you know, doing different things, different opportunities come up, right? And so literally today I was looking at our board. We've got, let's see. We've got a total of between deals that we're currently buying from wholesalers, deals that we currently have under contract direct to seller. We've got a total of $1.9 million under contract right now. And these are properties literally that's just acquisition price. Okay.
Let's go.
Okay. So the reality is I need to build a team right now. Right. So I don't really think about doomsday. I don't think about the market, although that's important to think about. We can get into that later. But the reality is, to answer your question, Roy, my bad for the long sentence, but to answer your question, it is, we'll see where God takes me. But the reality is I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing, build this as a business. And from there, we will add. So that might be storage units. That might be we build a tiny home community. That might be we build, you know, we go buy a mountain and build on a mountain. I don't know. But we're going to do what makes sense. And we're going to do what feels right. You know, not in an emotional state of like, oh, I want to do this, but, you know, it just has to, the stars have to align, you know?
Great answer, brother. Great answer. Roy, any more questions for my boy, Willie Coleman?
Yeah, man. Good stuff, man. I like that answer. But I look forward to meeting you, man, and hopefully partnering up with you and doing some things in the future. Me and Brad spent some time together today. And we talked about you a good bit, man. So real impressive what you're doing, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, just to give you a little bit behind about my boy Roy, he got some townhomes going in downtown Spartanburg. He about to get ready to build. He already currently owns some multifamily. What is it, 18 units? He built up a couple 18-unit multifamilies in Union. Roy, big time guy, and he wanted to come see you on here tonight for
That's
sure.
Sweet, man. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Hey, Sam, you have some questions?
That's me up.
Steve.
Yeah.
Big Steve, you got some questions for my boy Willie?
Yeah, hurry up before I go to sleep being an old man on here.
Yes, sir. Big Steve, the oldest in the group.
Yeah, man. And with that, so Mr. Coleman, sir, great stuff you're doing here, man. I really, I'm excited for you, and I know, and I'm glad you're giving God props in this thing.
Yes,
so
sir.
Knowing what you know, okay, and you talk about, you know, being in the box. For us that are, you know, we're on the outside, okay, we're looking in, we're seeing the success, we're seeing things go. So from the ground level, entry point, I guess, you know, okay, do I just dive into Airbnbs, or do I have to, you know, my good step one is, okay, let me learn how to wholesale. I mean, because it sounds like you've been on this elevation. And so now, you know, that you have elevated, there's an air quote, you can't, but you know, how do you dare I say, recommend someone getting started?
So the way I look at it is like, okay, what's the goal, right? So if you would say, look,
the goal is to make money. How about that?
Right. There you go.
Let's keep it
the
basic.
goal is to make money, and you want to make money like as quick as possible, right? Like, okay,
I need some money tomorrow.
You're right. Yeah. And so to be honest, the reality is in real estate, there's there's 1,001 ways to do it. Like I said earlier, I do believe in the concept of JOT, which is focus on just one thing at a time.
Mhm.
Don't look at it from, oh, like, let's go start off with Airbnb, let's go wholesale, let's go subject to, let's go, right? Sometimes you end up, doing, let me back up. The main thing is to take action and go all in on something. That's the main thing. Doing the work. I had a guy the other day, I sat down with somebody, they're like, man, you don't know a lot of people around Greenville, do you? And he almost said it like in an insulting way. I'm like, no, I don't, but I've got results. And the reality is, my thing is, I do the fucking work, dude. I'm not a guy that's just like, oh yeah, like let's just talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Like, let's do business. Like, let's not meet up just to talk. Let's meet up to get into the meat and potatoes. So for example, with you, it's like you asking, hey, what you should do. Well, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You got to figure that out on your own. That's just the reality. You got to say, look, if I want to make money tomorrow, right? And I'm sure, you understand the concept of wholesaling, you understand the concept of Airbnb and things like that. It's like, if it was me, this is how I started. I started as a wholesaler. So I would just wholesale. Wholesale, it allows you to understand deals. It allows you to, when you do start buying, if that's what you want to do, it allows you to just understand how the deal works. And it lets you start talking to real estate people. It gets you in the door. And then you say, look, I'm going to start wholesaling. But then tomorrow you might meet a guy that says, hey, would you help me with, my property management? And then you start doing property management. It's like, just start doing something and do it and get around and then do it and do it and do it and do it and then do it again and do it and just keep going. I think in our business and real estate entrepreneurship as a general, you have to have the ability to literally eat shit 6 days a week. And then maybe on the 7th day, you can eat caviar. But the reality is, you might be eating shit for the next 6 months, the next year, but you got to be willing to keep eating it and, just understand it's a process. And the guy that's consistent versus the guy that's, half in, half out, half in, half out, the consistent guy is going to win every freaking time. And again, that's coming from a guy that started winning as a teenager, as a minority in the South, because I was just consistent. And when I started cold calling, right? So it was like, okay, like I said, my parents, nobody taught me how to do this, right? But I started wholesaling. But I started. So I just started calling, right? Every single person was just like, no. I just kept going. It's just being consistent, whatever strategy you choose, right? And I say you need to choose because it's just a matter of, you might get your foot in the door you might go work at a property management company. You might go work for a contractor. I don't know. That's up to you. But the reality is, whatever you do it, be consistent, and things will start happening. Momentum starts. And hopefully, you got me there. You get my answer.
Yeah, well, that's good, and that's exactly kind of the feel I got from your conversation. Okay, so you're in a hot market, Greenville, Greenville County. Now,
Yes,
for those of us that have the mindset that Greenville may be too hot, are you looking into other areas? Are you Spartanburg? Are you upstate? Or is it just enough in Greenville to keep you going?
Yeah, no, great question. So currently I've got 4 renovations going, or 4 construction sites underway right now. That is 1 new construction and 3 flips. So I've got stuff in Spartanburg going right now, and we've got the others are in Greer, but like upstate, we'll buy anywhere. We'll buy all of the upstate. I think it makes sense to just, like I said, I don't put myself, I only buy in this neighborhood, I only buy in this zip code. It's like whatever makes sense, right? I do like to do a lot of hotels now, or the hoteling, which is like wholesaling, but it's where you just take down a deal, clean it up a little bit, and then immediately relist it. And so I'll do that anywhere. I mean, I'll do it in North Carolina, I'll do it in Texas, it doesn't matter. I'll buy it and then immediately resell it, type of thing. But I just think if the numbers make sense, go for it,
Cool. Thank you, sir. It's great stuff.
Yes, sir.
One more question that came up in the chat was, what would you do if you were starting from zero again? And I think you kind of answered that in there, but let's just kind of in on his.
Yeah, to dive into that, because I feel like I'm in a way I do start from zero almost every day. Like what you're on right now, this was starting from zero. I didn't know what I was doing here. But it's just a matter of like I said, it's just doing the work. It's just finding who, not how. I would, well, let me back up. Actually, I'm going to answer that question in a deeper way. So if I'm starting from zero today with what I know, I think everybody should read this book. It's called Who, Not How by Dan Sullivan. And it's the concept of anytime you start something new, don't think about how do I do it, right? Because we get so overwhelmed when we talk about how. We like, oh, how? Okay, I got to get this system. And, you know, Willie and Brad told me to download this and do that. And da, 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 da. It's like, look, if we just look at it from the perspective of who, go be of value to somebody. The fastest way to the top is getting in the room. And getting in the room and adding value to the room, not just getting in the room and listening to people. People also get in the room. It's like, okay, they just sit there and like, hey, I'm getting started. It's like when you go to these meetups, when you're on these things, it's like you meet these guys. You need to be like, hey, what can I do to help you? My goal is to whatever it is. I just need to make, you know, right now I need to make some money. Whatever it is, how can I help you? You know, just start there. Like add value to people, and you know, so if I were to start over, I would say, who can I add value to? So if my space is, I want to be a wholesaler, I'd go find 5 wholesalers that you know are actually doing deals, right? Not just somebody that's talking about like, there's, you know, somebody that's actually doing deals and just kind of pitch them like, hey, I'm willing to do whatever you need to do. My goal is to be a wholesaler. I would love to work with you and anything I can do. And you don't need to know how to do it. You don't need to go buy all these systems and put money into marketing, Go find who is doing it. Go be under their wing. And from there, things will start to come together if you are consistent and doing whatever it takes to make it happen. That's how I would restart tomorrow. So again, when I did this new construction deal, you know, that Brad was just showing at the warehouse, it was like, okay, I've never built a 5,000 square foot house. I've never had to deal with foundations and, you know, all this logistical stuff. And like, there's some building science stuff. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but like we're building at a very, very, very high level for the South. So like, we're not doing, you know, we're building an airtight house. We're doing a lot of high level stuff. And like, I've never done that before. So I was like, okay, who can I get, especially in Greenville, to help me with that? So I ended up finding this guy. It was actually an engineer guy that went to Clemson. I ended up selling him a house like 2 years ago. And he was able to help draw the plans. I actually drew the plans with him, and he was able to actually help with everything, right? With submitting them to the city, right? Being, you know, I'm not ignorant to the fact, again, I'm a minority in the South, so everybody's not happy about that. So, you know, you got to understand who can help me do this. And so I would just say, go find the people that are doing it, become of value. You might not know anything, right? It doesn't matter, but go say, hey, look, I'm willing to do whatever you need me to do, and start from there. It's the fastest way to the top at every level. Because you'll never really get to a point where it's like, oh yeah, I know how to do everything. It's just you're always going to the next level. That's what I believe. So go find somebody that can help you. Who, not how.
Amazing, amazing. Anybody else got some questions for my boy?
Yo, you know I do, for sure.
Let's go, Sammy. What you got for him?
What's happening with you, Willie?
What's up,
Sammy?
Sammy?
Question. Quick question.
Yes, sir.
You don't know anybody with the last name of Burton, do you?
I might. I don't know. I know a lot of people.
We might have spoke early on the phone.
Okay.
Okay, but okay, that's unrelated. Back to the question. So I just recently started maybe 2 weeks ago. I'm pretty good at it, just like you. I started with the background of renovation, demos, paint, the odd man doing the odd jobs. You know what I'm saying? So that's what brought me to the wholesaling. My question is, when you do meet a private lender who comes at you and reaches hand out to you, how do I use a private lender to my advantage with no capital or honest money deposit, with no hard collateral or no business credit? How do I use that in my favor? You know what I'm saying? What's my strategy? What's my exit strategy with that when I have a private lender approaching me as a wholesaler? Yeah. And I have agreements ready to go, like commercial and residential. So how do I get it going?
So first off, I think everybody should sort of stop calling themselves a wholesaler. I think you might wholesale properties, but at the end of the day, you're a real estate investor, because whether you invest money or you invest your time, you are investing. And so I think everybody should lead with that mindset. If your question is, how do I get people's money to work? If somebody's willing to give you money, how do I capitalize on that? Well, of course, of course, hey, if the deal makes sense, if you're saying, hey, how do you do it are you saying just to make sure I understand your question, are you saying you have a lender that's willing to fund your deal, or
Okay.
you're trying to find a lender?
Pretty much, let's say hypothetically speaking, I put up a high value property, and I get a response from a private lender, and he said, hey, I can help fund your deal.
Yeah.
But me being green in the industry, who only been in here for like 2 weeks and a half, but I'm pretty good at what I do. Like I have some 2 great contracts right now in Georgia. We can discuss that if you like. But anyways, I just don't know how to take advantage of these new opportunities that's knocking at my door. Like I have private lenders that's been hitting me all week for some reason. And like you said, when stars align, I feel like they coming to me for a reason. I just don't know how to use it, because I have contracts that I do need to get some EDM for. I mean some EMD for, but I still haven't figured that part out. And like you said, it's all about strategy. It's all about seeing it. You know what I'm saying? Seeing the strings and picking the one that works for you.
So what I would do is like, if you got somebody like, hey, I'll fund your deals, they're ready to fund. Don't like say, hey, I've got nothing to fund right now and discount them. Go ahead and start the relationship, right? Like, hey, let's get lunch, let's talk. I am newer in the space. The way I would do that is, if you want to flip, go for it. Take their money and flip it. If you're not comfortable doing that, like, hey, I'd rather just wholesale it. What I would do is be valuable in that scenario. So you can say, hey, Mr. Lender, I'm not quite ready for you, but I would love to help you find a place for your money. Not you acting as a broker or anything like that, but just, hey, I'm just connecting A to Z. And if those people want to take care of you by any means they can, let me be careful. Basically what I'm saying is, if you have somebody that's willing to give you money, if you're not ready to take the deal down, I would just connect your buyer and that investor together. They do the deal. Guess what? Both of those people are happy, because you serve the buyer by finding funding for them, and you serve the lender by finding, a borrower for them. So bridge the gap there. If you're ready to take the money and go for it. That's a decision you're gonna have to make on your own. But at the same time, you can still use that to your advantage of being of service to both of those people. I've never done this, but you could even put the deal out there like that. Like, hey, here's this deal, and we've actually got lenders that are willing to fund it. So if you don't have the money, no problem. We've got a lender that's willing to fund it. I would do something like that. Or say you don't even have a deal and they're like, hey, they reach out to you, go find somebody that you like, know, and trust, and just connect the two people. Figuring out a way to just adding value to every scenario, every person, especially in the beginning, is how I like to do it, right? So for me, I had people that would say, like, when I would go on seller appointments, we couldn't be a good fit. Well, obviously, okay, well, hey, I got a realtor buddy that can list this for you. Or, hey, like, it sounds like, Mr. Seller, you want to keep this property. Great. Here is a referral of, you want to keep it, but there's some electrical problems. Let me give you my electrician to help you fix your panels so the county doesn't, condemn your property or whatever. Just figuring out a way to serve anybody and everybody. That's all your people need to do. They need to figure out a way to be of service. Whatever you're doing, if you can serve people, and whether it's something that works out for them or not, people always appreciate you wanting to help, not just saying that shit, but actually doing it. So I would say just be a connector.
Okay, for sure. Can I ask you one quick question, then I'm done?
Go for it.
Okay, since you have a background in building and construction like that,
yes, sir.
I have a hard contract that's been getting bounced around on my buyers list. So I have a residential, but it's a foundation slab driveway, no house on it. Who do I've been calling builders, contractors, I've been calling the buyers list, and I'm having a hard time. Like, how do I approach a situation where the land lot is ready, even with a foundation, a slab, a pool in the back and the driveway, but no house on it? How do you approach a situation like that? Like those special situations
Yeah.
You know, that requires a building.
Those like little those random different deals. Well, what I'm hearing is you've got a situation where you basically have a lot, right? That's got a little something on it. Where's this deal at, if you don't mind me asking?
It's in Decula, Georgia.
Okay. So yeah, that seems like a deal that a builder wants, right?
Right.
The only play there is to build, right? Or somebody that wants to put a mobile home there or something. I don't know, the logistics of the deal.
Oh no, nah, this a high value area. We're
Okay.
talking like the forefront of a cul-de-sac.
Yeah. So yeah, find a builder. It's that simple. That's a builder's going to take that all day long. Now there's there's probably a reason. I would start doing some digging, whoever the seller is, ask them what's going on. Why is there just a foundation? They might have got hit with stop work, or they might have found something out with zoning after they started construction. Maybe they didn't pull permits, or the money got funny, right? There's all a billion different reasons why it could be that way. But bottom line, a builder will buy that thing all day long. Dude, let's talk offline. I might be interested. I don't know.
Hey, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, Willie.
Let's go. Hey, great question, Sammy, as always. All right. While we got Willie time, I ain't gonna hold him. We at the 8 p.m. mark. I ain't gonna hold him too much longer. I know how long his days are. If you got any more questions, let's go ahead and get them out right now.
I've got about 10, 15 left, so I'm good for the next 10, 15.
Perfect. Anybody else got any more questions for the world famous?
Everybody set. Everybody know how to go make $1 million. I love it.
So everybody already got $1 million. Hey, listen, guys. I want to let y'all know. I want to double back on what he said about when you get in the room and what you do when you get in the room. All right. If you get a chance to ask somebody a good question who know more than you, try sometimes to at least come with some questions. Or while you listening and stuff is sparking in your brain, write those questions down. Because you might not never get another chance to be able to talk to them while they feeling that vibe. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I just wanted to put that out there to the group, man. Once again, I appreciate every single one of y'all. Yeah, man. Take advantage, guys. That's all it is. But for everybody who asked questions, there was great questions. I loved it. Willie, I appreciate your time tonight. We ain't gonna hold you no more. Everybody, I put inside the chat that video that me and Willie did. I sent out a blast to everybody so y'all can recap the warehouse build that he's doing. And we are going to do a part 2 once he get done with it. So y'all be ready for that. And with that being said, man, I appreciate everybody's time, everybody effort. We got a couple people who couldn't make it into the Zoom tonight because they had work or some craziness come up, and that's life. I'll make sure I send the replay out to every single person tonight. That way, nobody, misses out on it who's in the mastermind. And yeah, man, with that being said, man, everybody go get y'all something good to eat and make sure y'all work out tomorrow. All right. You too, Willie. You go work out.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right, y'all.
All right, everybody. Y'all have a good one. Let's go.
Let's get it.